This is a trade recap for July the 12th, 2012 on the ES Runner and Euro Runner trading systems. Profit is taken on the ES Runner at the European cash market open at 3 a.m. We stay out of the first 15 minutes of the cash market open, so we take all trades from 3:15 on through until 9:30 for the pre-market profit and loss, and then from 9:30 we avoid trade in the first 15 minutes. We take trades from 9:15 on through 4 o'clock. We stay out of the last 15 minutes of the market's close. That would be considered regular trading hours for the system's profit and loss. Started here this morning, there was no trades here at 3:15 and on. Scalps would be the trades we'd look to take as entries, or primary entries long and short. So there were no scalps or primary entries at 3:15. The first long here is a cautionary trade. It means you take half the position size as you would on a normal primary entry. A primary entry is when an R is printed, and then a cautionary is when it's, again, a C is printed for cautionary. So in the case of the smallest account, for profit and loss purposes, we're using 2 contracts for primary entry, we're using 1 contract for cautionary, and we're using 1 contract for scalps. Here, a cautionary trade has a rule. When a chase price is printed, you take a 2-point pullback from the highest price if the price from the swing low to the swing high has been over 5 points. So the entry would have been right here. The exit here was at 4:55, 1 candle before the 5 o'clock news event. The rules for exit are when a news event will come out, you close 1 candle before the news event. This lost 5 ticks on 1 contract. This trade here, short, primary entry, not a cautionary trade, so 2 contracts. First contract made its entry at 26 here, made 6 ticks down to this candle here. The second contract is brought to break even. It was stopped out right here. Pre-market, -5 ticks, +6 ticks, 1 tick made for pre-market. This was certainly one of our slower pre-market days. It was a kind of choppy day. There wasn't a lot of up and down movement, but nevertheless there was small profit. Some other traders did take, there were traders that took some other trades in the pre-market. Some traders were in early in the morning and took trades here at about 2:50 in the morning. Before the cash market opened, there was a very good scalp that came in here. This one made 6 ticks very easy, first scalp in the series. There's also a sprint trade back here at 2:05 in the morning that got close to being stopped out, was exited here at the cautionary opposite direction triangle for -2 ticks of loss. But then the first scalp in the series came in here, making 6 ticks here. So for the entire pre-market from 2 o'clock on, it was a better day. I used to take profit from the pre-market at 1 a.m., but it didn't really get going until about 2, so I was using profit from 2 a.m. on, and it just made it easier to start from the cash market open at 3. But there are good trades, I find, on the ES starting around 2 o'clock in the morning. 1:30 to 2 starts getting good trades, even before the cash market opens. That's because the European and London desks get going trading about 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. And that makes for some good moves even before the European cash market opens at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those that traded early in the morning, there was some profit made on this scalp, a little bit lost on this sprint, but profit made back on this scalp. So actually the pre-market morning was even a little better for those up earlier in the day. It was a profitable day, probably about 6 or 7 ticks were made. But it was one of our slower pre-market days. As for the regular trading hours, it was very, very choppy today. There was nice moves down, and then they went right back and went up. Today here, we had an open trade at the market open that very quickly made profit. We don't take trades in the first 15 minutes the market's open, but I'm looking at endorsing market open trades when the market open trade is in the direction of the prevailing move over the last couple of days. We're using a 30-minute system to help confirm entries on the 2-minute market open, regular trading hours trades. This morning, a number of traders wanted to take this trade because the 30-minute system was in a short, and this was a short on the 2-minute system at 9:36 in the morning. Some traders took this. I still told them I wasn't comfortable yet taking that unless we have a few more weeks to really observe this closely, but we are going to start looking at it over the next month to find more ways to create additional profit to an already profitable system. Had we taken this trade, you can see here it made 2 points from entry very quickly. It had a runner that went as high as 5 3/4, so it was a very good trade. These scalps here were scalps which were very difficult to make money. We went against the 20-point psychological daily range, which is a very critical number. And I told traders getting into these trades they would be tough trades to take. This one lost 8 ticks. from the open price here, dropped down about 3 ticks, but then went against it, ended up losing 8 ticks right here. As you can see, it just touched the 8 ticks and then fell. And some traders did not even get executed on their exit here. They were still in the trade here and then exited here when the cautionary opposite direction triangle came in. Going forward next week, these opposite direction triangles will be printed in yellow, which will make it much easier. I'll just tell everybody that, scalps are exited at the first yellow triangle. I won't have to go through saying opposite directional triangle anymore. But this trade is counted as an 8-tick loser because some people obviously got stopped out here. This trade here, I told the room to not take it. It still counted as a system trade, but I told the room to not take it. I told the more aggressive traders to take it, but not the room to take it. Most of the room didn't take this trade. A couple aggressive guys did. It lost 4 ticks, and it was taken out at the 2 opposite directional arrows coming in here. The 2 opposite directional arrows came in here as well, which would have saved this trade from 8 ticks. It would have lost only 6. But I didn't call the exit on this trade here with these 2 arrows when I did on these 2. I was unfortunately busy with some traders going through some things on the phone when this happened, so I didn't see this happening. And when this did happen right here, I called the exit right here, and it was negative 4 ticks. But this trade, again, was not taken by most of the room. I am counting it because technically it was a system-based, rules-based trade, but occasionally I will say not to take a trade. We were going up against exactly 20 points right here, 19.5 exactly, that is, 2 ticks off of 20. This was a very tough place to get the trade in, as it was up here too. We were too close to 20 points of the psychological daily range, and that's a very big barrier to get through. So both these trades failed at that within a few ticks of the 20-point daily range. Going forward here in the afternoon, or actually late morning, the scalp here made everybody 8 points. As you can see, scalps going against psychological numbers like a 20-point daily range, they have a tough time making the profit. They failed. When you don't go against those things, the scalps have a very high success rate. Now this trade going cautionary long wasn't taken by anybody because the rule for a cautionary trade is to look for a 2-point pullback, which happened to occur within 10 bars is my rule. It happened at the 11th bar. This was a 2-point pullback right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bars. On the 11th bar, when I told people to take their limit at 123 even, sorry, 1323 even off, the next bar it hit it, shot up, making the 2 points, and kept going from there. I'm not counting this trade. I can't count this trade, but gosh, I was 1 bar off of it based on the rules, on my rules, 1 bar off. So unfortunate, but this trade was not counted today towards profit. This scalp it made the 8 ticks, and then lunchtime came here. We don't take trades between 12 and 1. This scalp came in at 108. The room took it, made this, not scalp, excuse me, sprint, made its 10 ticks here. For those that did get filled here, they got certainly filled right here, but it made 10 ticks. And then these scalps weren't valid intra-series scalps to take. This wasn't taken, and this wasn't taken before because the news was coming out at 2 o'clock, and therefore there's not a trade to take within 15 minutes of a medium to high impact news release. So this trade was not taken, hopefully by the room, following the rules. So today, and also then this was a cautionary trade here taken at the end of the day. Unfortunately, from the entry, it immediately went 10 ticks against it and was stopped out for 1 contract. So the net today was 4 ticks of loss on the ES runner. It was a choppy, difficult day. Again, for those that didn't take this trade that I called out in the room, and I really think no one took this trade, they had a break even today. Most of the room told me they were break even today. Some made money today because they held on to the first scalp in a series longer. Some made 3 points on this trade, and some made 3 points on this sprint. As you can see, both these trades made 3 points. 3 points was here, and then 3 points was here. So there were a number of traders that made 2 points, 3 points profit today because they stayed away from that negative scalp again back here. And many traders made 2 or 3 points today. But for the rules, staying strictly to the rules, I'm going to count this as negative 4 ticks today, even though we really were break even. I will count as negative 4. The euro made up for it today. Like I've said a million times, there's only been about 11 losing days out of the past, since April the 19th. We have an 85% success rate, 84.5% success rate. When one system loses, the other one makes money. 90% of the time. So for the few times that it loses, the low percentage rate of losses, one system compensates for the other. The euro ended up having a trade here at 2:25 in the morning. We take profit from the euro from 2 a.m. through to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But this trade was entered and then exited at the first cautionary triangle here at 2:30 in the morning for a total of about 2 pips, I think, lost. One thing I want to check on here for a moment. I just want to make sure that this morning there wasn't. Oh, yes, right. There was the German news release. A German news release that was very negative, which actually is what caused this short right here. This is not a valid trade to take for those taking a primary entry. It wasn't valid to take. That big bear candle was the news release at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the German WPE, which typically doesn't move the market much, it's a low impact, had a very big deviation. That's why it moved the market, and that's why the candle dropped. Therefore, not a valid trade to take as an entry, but you can take scalps. First scalp, or the first sprint came in here. That is the first turn down on the stop loss line, the smart line, after a period of at least 10 bars on the 5-minute system and 15 bars on the 2-minute system. We don't use 2-minute system for the euro. We use only 5 minutes. So after 10 periods of the smart line being flat, the first turn down, where the first corresponding direction arrow triangle comes in, that is, corresponding direction triangle, that's called a sprint. You enter here, you make 20 pips here. This scalp number here is an intra-series scalp. It's not a valid scalp per the rules. This intra-series scalp right here was a valid intra-series scalp per the rules. It lost 3 ticks, taken out of the first opposite direction triangle. This cautionary trade was a cautionary entry because the previous move was over 50 points. That makes this a cautionary entry. You use only half your contract size. So I'm using the example here of all the profits made per standard, mini, or micro lot. Okay. So if you trade with 10 lots, just take these numbers and take 29 pips times 10 lots. But the primary entry is always, in this example, 2 lots, 2 minis, 2 micros. The scalps are 1 lot, 1 mini, 1 micro. The cautionary is also 1. And so scalps, cautionary trades, and sprints are 1, counted as 1. Primary entries are counted as 2, but they're divided into the first half of that position is taken out at 20 pips, second half is a runner. So this trade loses. Entry here, the line goes flat. First opposite direction triangle comes in. You exit at that point. That is an 8-pip loser. And then a sprint comes in here. First turn up on the stop loss line after 10 periods is right there. Entry here, exit at 20 pips right there. It went about 22, but it did make the 20. You've got to act fast on the sprints, and you take your profit from the open price, 20 pips from the open price. So the overall profit for the euro runner today was 29 pips. So this made up for the -4 ticks on the ES, or the break even for nearly everybody in the room. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you in the room in the next week or two as a trial member. So far, again, the system has had an 84.5% success rate, averaging 9 points approximately per day on the ES. About 3 of those points to 4 of those points are in the pre-market, and about 5 to 6, sometimes 7 on average, is in the regular trading hours. We've had many days, regular trading hours, we've made 15 and 20 points. We've had days we've made only 2 and 3. So on average, the regular trading hours tend to run about 6 points, 7 points. And the pre-market tends to be about 3. The euro averages about 40 to 45 pips per day. And both systems have had no more than 11 losing days since April the 19th. Thank you very much. If you need to contact me, please contact me at info@es-runner.com. Also, the website is www.es-runner.com. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye.